Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973, an inspirational podcast about the ups and downs of life and everything in between. Here's your host, Shane Lakita.
Okay, good morning, friends. Good morning, all of my fellow countrymen and all of you podcast listeners here on Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. I'm hoping your weekend's going really well. This is a special Sunday edition of the podcast itself. Well, to be quite honest with you, is because the house is empty and I had some thoughts that I wanted to get out and put out there into the world, and this is the way I do it. And it's great because the house is quiet, nice and quiet. So, my son, he's out at the mall hanging out as teenagers do with a couple of his buddies and doing a little bit of shopping. And my wife is out doing some shopping as well. And I'm not the shopping kind of guy. So it's great that I was able to bust out this podcast and then go for a walk later and just get some exercise in and make this Sunday the most beneficial Sunday I can make it. Okay. All right. So this podcast is going to be a good one, I think, because it really relates to everything that you all bring to the table for me. Now, let me elaborate a little bit here. So basically, the communities that I'm involved with, what I was doing is I was going through my social media platforms. So I was looking through Instagram, looking through Facebook, looking through TikTok, looking through Twitter, and all of these different social media platforms. And the basic consistency with all the platforms that are out there is people like to be connected. People like to make jokes. People like to have fun with each other. People like to inspire. People like to also cut people down and other aspects of social media that are the negative side of it. But I'm going to lean in on the positive side of social media because this is what got me really thinking about us and our journeys and what we need as people that are trying our best to be the best version of ourselves, all the while playing in the space of social media and today's society. I mean, back in the day, your social gatherings were people would have a party, you'd have a barbecue, you'd get together in the neighborhood, families would get together for Sunday meals, whatever it was. People really kept it simple, but it didn't involve all of this internet and technology and all these things because we didn't have it around. But now that we have it, how do we use it and why do we use it? Everybody in the world wants connectivity. Everybody in the world wants to feel valued, appreciated, or even encouraged by those that are around us. So the original intent with the social media aspect of it, I know you can see the whole story on Facebook, but the original intent was people can connect. Back in MySpace days and some of the other ones, ICQ and all kinds of other chat services or whatever, what it was is it wanted to connect people that were having similar interests or similar like-minded thoughts or whatever, and get them together in a social way that would connect them. And they would feel connected on a level that they haven't been able to. It's much different than just picking up a phone. And as technology has progressed throughout the whole entire time, we have things like FaceTime, and we have things like videos and all kinds of different things to be able to connect now faces with those voices, with those people, to be able to stay connected and stay in touch with each other. Because we as human beings, whether we admit it or not, whether we like to admit it, even if we are antisocial or an introvert, we still like the connectivity and the camaraderie and the friendships that we may be able to have in this world. We need it. We need connection. We need the feeling of touch, being with people at all times. And I'm not talking about just the whole love aspect. I know we are just coming off of Valentine's Day, which was hard for some, but great for others. But I'm talking about the connectivity of human interaction. Us connecting with each other, holding hands to be able to pull each other through tough times, to lift each other through great times, to be able to encourage each other when you're trying to do things, or coach people when we want to be able to have some advice to be able to move forward. We need that as people. We need that as human beings. And social media allows that for us, right? So the reason I'm sharing this is because I've been overwhelmed with gratitude and humility and humbled by the fact that over on No Finish Line Nation, which is our Facebook page, if you do not know what No Finish Line Nation is, it is a closed Facebook group that many people go there to encourage each other, to lift each other up, to share their stories, to talk about their walks, to talk about the foods that they're prepping, to talk about all the different things they're doing on their health journey, and they do it together. And you're encouraged, you're lifted up, you're uplifted. And this group is a very safe group because we have admins that control that environment of it. But because there are trolls out there, we all know that. We all know the aspect of the internet where people get very brave behind the keyboard and they cut people down, or they're jealous of those other folks and they start to belittle those other folks because they're not at that level. That's okay. I get it. That's the risk of playing in this space of social media. But here's the thing. What I find on the page is 90% of everything that's gone on No Finish Line Nation is encouragement. It's uplifting. It's even the people that are lurking, even the people that don't say much or just hit the like button or don't ever comment or whatever. I've been told by many of those folks as well as they've messaged me and say NFLN or No Finish Line Nation has completely changed my life. I've met amazing people through it. I've made amazing friendships. I hear it all the time being an admin of this page. And so what stands out to me is people want to be connected. People want to feel encouraged. People want to feel appreciated or valued, or they want to feel almost a level of, here's a great example of what I'm talking about. So let's say, for instance, somebody lost 100 pounds and they lost this weight, and maybe their family isn't as supportive as what they would have liked to have seen, or maybe there's people around them that they just haven't really celebrated, or maybe they'll get a notice every once in a while, but they know how hard they've worked and they know what the journeys look like and they know that it's taken work, effort, time, and everything, but they haven't really had a moment to be able to celebrate in the fact that they lost 100 pounds. So they go on social media. And maybe they put their message out there and they say they show a before and after. And on No Finish Line Nation, what I find is everybody jumps on board with encouragement. Amazing job. Great work. You should be so proud. You're so much healthier. You look happier. Your face looks skinnier. Your eyes look bigger, or whatever kind of compliments that people want to be able to pay forward with a person that is reaching out for that almost encouragement, or I'm thinking of the word I'm trying to be able to say, where you feel like you've accomplished something, right? And you want to feel that way. You want others to notice that. Even if we say we don't really care what other people think, which is a defense mechanism for a lot of people, we do care what other people think. We care what people think about us. We care what people's opinions are of us, whether it's our character, whether it's the things that we've accomplished, whether it's the type of parent that I am, whatever it is, we look for validation in a lot of things that we are trying to be able to accomplish. And that's okay. That's a great thing. It's not a bad thing. It's okay to be able to find validation or look for validation. And if you haven't found a community of people or folks or places you could go to be able to get some of that validation or get some of that encouragement or get some of that accountability or those tough conversations and those great conversations, then you need to go find that. You need to go find that. One of those places is No Finish Line Nation. Now, if you don't know what No Finish Line Nation is, like I said before, all you have to do is go to your Facebook page, put in the search bar, No Finish Line Nation. You'll see it's a group. You have to request to get in. You got to answer a question or two to be able to get in, because we don't want spammers and we don't want multi-level marketers or anything like that on there. And there's a set of rules you have to follow, and you have to get in there. And it's a closed group. Here's the great thing. So people are sometimes afraid to share their stories or bear themselves back or create vulnerability for themselves amongst regular social media aspect or put themselves out there. But at the end of the day, in this group, it's closed. It's safe for the most part. Anybody could use anything on social media. But here's the thing. People feel safe there because everybody else is doing the same thing. They're all bearing themselves back. They're letting folks know their struggles. Maybe somebody woke up today and they decided they're going to eat 2 waffles, they're going to eat 4 eggs, and they're just going to stuff their face with a syrup and all kinds of other stuff. And then they feel guilty about it. And then they got to go somewhere to be able to talk about it, because that's one of the ways to be able to get through that mental side of this journey, is to talk to others and have conversations and discussions with people that can understand where you're coming from, that understand your plight or your struggle. I've heard stories of people that have been parts of families that are all athletic and, skinny, and they're ready to go, and they're all just really in tip-top shape. And then you're overweight, and you have an addiction to food, and you eat when you're depressed, or you eat when you're down, or you eat when you're stressed, or anything like that. And then you're like 80 pounds over where you're supposed to be. Your doctor's telling you shouldn't be doing it, but nobody in your family can relate, because all they ever say is, listen, just go work out. It should be easy for you. It's easy for us. And they can't relate. But when you can talk to somebody that understands you, that gets you, that understands what you're going through and what you deal with every day, listen, that's powerful. That's super powerful. So one of the call to actions from this podcast is find out who you can involve in your tribe. Here's another great story that I got from No Finish Line Nation. Okay, we started the page, the group, about 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. We started it. It's got 42,000 people. Now, we've hovered at 42,000 for a really long time. We have not gone up. We have not gone down. I mean, it's gone up and down a little bit here and there with people that got rid of Facebook or whatever. But it's right around 42,000 people. We grew really fast, and then we've hit a plateau. But there's people that still come in, and there's people that come and go, and all those good things. But here's the great thing. What I find now is that No Finish Line Nation has become self-sufficient. And people in No Finish Line Nation connect with other people that are of like mind, that are going through the same things, and they've become fast friends. They go on trips together. They go on hikes out in California. They go out to Arizona. They're out in Tennessee doing races together, like a bunch of people getting together there. The Divas in the desert and the races down in Tennessee, and meetings in Chicago, and all kinds of different places where people are self-sufficient, and they found their tribe. They found people that relate to them and get that piece of it. And that's so important in this journey. You need to have someone to go to talk to about the things that you're struggling with. You need that source of inspiration or motivation or admiration as you're going through all the things that you go through. We miss out on that sometimes, and we need it. I need the validation of knowing that somebody else out there gets what I'm going through. They understand my daily struggle. They understand what it feels like when I'm at work and I'm eating healthy and I'm good to go and I'm all set, and then somebody brings in 24 donuts right in front of my face and lays them out and says, "Here you go, guys, this is for the work," whatever. They understand the struggle that I go through when I go out to a restaurant. I have my meals all planned, ready to go, and I'm all set, and I'm in the toe, and the next thing you know, tiramisu hits the table, or some sort of cheese queso dip for the chips rolls out to the table, and it's sitting there right in front of your face. They understand the struggle that I go through. I need that in my life. One of the reasons why I do this podcast is because I know there are other people that are listening to this podcast right now that understand the struggles that I have, and they can relate to what I'm going through, and they know they see themselves in me. We need that as a society. We need that as people, human beings. I'm a dad. My wife and I, we try to raise our son the best way that we can. And we love our kid. He's such a good kid. If any of you have heard the podcast where I did the interview with him, I don't know, a few months back, and we sat down and we talked, and he's so thoughtful, and he's amazing in every way whatsoever. And he inspires me all the time. Kid's now hitting the gym. He's doing his off-season workouts for his football. He's becoming a young man. The way he thinks about things, the way that he handles things, the way that he shows respect towards people. But here's the thing. If he just went through all the journey and he went through everything that he was going through, and he, as a young teenager, a freshman in high school, trying to be able to just find his way, going through puberty, going through girls, going through guys, going through macho stuff, the peer pressures and everything else that he goes through, all the while being thoughtful, all the while being mindful and doing the right thing and sticking to it. You know how hard that is? But if he didn't hear that validation from me or my beautiful wife, if he didn't hear the validation from us and didn't hear that, buddy, you're doing a great job, stay the course, great job with that decision, hey, tell me more about that, and we were discussing it, we were validating some of the decisions that he was making, even though he knows that he has to make those decisions, but it's still good to hear an attaboy. It's still good to hear oh my goodness, what a great job. And it's also still good to hear hey, you know what, I wouldn't have done it that way. Or maybe let's take a look at this to be able to be better next time. Because it's a different set of eyes. I have a lot more experience than he does, right? I'm his dad. I'm trying to teach him the ways of the world. I'm trying to teach him how to be a man. I'm trying to teach him all these things. And he needs the positive and the negative and the encouragement and the accountability. He needs that as a father to a son. But we need that as regular people as well. You need that from some person in your tribe, somewhere in your world. There is somebody that's going to be there for you when you need them most. When you're about to dive into the trash can and pull out that eclair like an old Seinfeld episode, and you want to eat that eclair, and you want to dive into that eclair, and you want to gorge on that thing, but you don't, because you then call your friend to be able to say, you know what, I shouldn't do this, should I? And they're like, no, well, what's your goals? Or maybe they even tell you, hey, where are you at for the day or for the week? Is it okay for you to eat that? Well, you know what, why not live your life? Or maybe they're telling you, yeah, you probably shouldn't, right? Because that might cause a trigger, because they know you better than most other people, because they can relate to your struggle. Your friends and the tribe that you have also know that you need whatever it is that you need in your journey. They can help you with that. So if you need boundaries and you need something to say to you, I can't have that, and that's how you're going to be successful in this journey, then that's what you need. But if you also need somebody there to be able to say, listen, is that sustainable? Are you starving yourself or whatever else? Like the little tips and pointers that we always hear about sustainability and being able to do this long term and be able to deal with the ups and downs and eat a steak if I want to every once in a while, or a piece of Boston cream pie and curb that appetite to be able to move on from that point forward. If you need somebody to do that for you and that's how you're wired, that's what that person can do for you. But you got to find them. If you don't have a tribe and you don't have people, just look around you. They're there. Don't be afraid. Step out of your comfort zone and put yourself out there. There was something that I'd shared on one of my later coffee talks here, and it was all about sharing your story. In the last podcast, we talked about sharing your story and don't be afraid, because you never know who you're going to inspire. Now, part of that sharing your story piece to it is, if you share your story and you tell others about the things that you're doing, or things that you're most proud of, or things that you're successful with, or whatever, and you do inspire folks, that's how you start to build your tribe. Because then people can go, hey, they're built like me. They look a lot like me. They had the same upbringing as me. And I struggle with that stuff too. But it seems to be that they're successful, or they're at least becoming successful at it. I need help with that. I need to reach out to them. That's what I'm going to do. So let's think about that. Here we are in this journey, struggling, trying to get through it day by day, every day, going through it, going through the ups, going through the downs, just trying to put one foot in front of the other to be the best version of us, like we always talk about, the best version of me to bring out to the world, and for me to be able to achieve all the goals in my life and all the aspirations, right? For me to do all that stuff, I need to be able to have a sense of accomplishment, a sense of validation, a sense of that no matter what I'm working on, even if I failed or I fell or I skinned my knee, I've still got people in my corner rooting for me. That's probably one of the biggest things for me, to be honest. I do a podcast here. It's not the most successful podcast in the whole entire world. You can hear me all trying to drive people over to the podcast to get the downloads, or try to be able to drive certain metrics up to it and be able to reach more people and those kind of things, and ask people to share the podcast or whatever. It's not the most million downloaded podcast in the world, but I get words of encouragement every single day from the podcast. Every day I'll get a message, whether it's through email, in my DMs, or whatever. I'll get some sort of validation from someone saying, I listened to your podcast today about such and such, and it inspired me. Or I listened to your podcast about goal setting, and you know what? I really set some good goals around this. Or I listened to your podcast about parenting, and how raising a kid in today's society is a really difficult one. And it really inspired me to talk to my kid and step out of my comfort zone. Those types of validations are the things that we need in life. And those are the things that I need through this podcast. That's why I do it. I'm in this journey just like everybody else. I'm trying to do the things that are right. I'm trying to be successful just like you are. We all need validation. We all need uplifting. We all need encouragement. We all do. And I get that a lot through the podcast. I also get it through some of my social media aspects. I don't feel a lot of the heat from the trolls and the bad people because usually I either block them or I scroll on. But they're there. They're out there. Social media, a lot of people shy away from social media just because of the internet bullying. I get all that. But at the end of the day, we live such a short amount of time on this earth. Why not share your story? Why not get out there and connect with people on a different type of level and not just on a surface level through a social media page, sharing, posts and pictures and videos, but rather connecting and communicating and setting meetups and doing things to be able to connect with other folks that are just like you on a deeper level, on a level where you never know what kind of friends you can gain. I just saw on social media, it was on No Finish Line Nation and on Instagram and some other places, 3 people, one from New York, one from South Carolina, and one from California, all through No Finish Line Nation and all through the social media aspect of weight loss and trying to be able to move forward and just be really, they become fast friends, that they all took a trip out to California, went up to San Francisco, saw the redwoods, saw all kinds of great stuff. And you know what? I looked at that and I said, wow. These 3 people from all different walks of life, different corners of the world, all got together to go out there and experience something together. And they met on the internet. They met because others were going through the same thing that they were. Or they met because there was a connection that was deeper than just the regular surface level. Or how about the example that I think I gave a while back where all kinds of people from all over the country came up to New Hampshire to come up for the Smutty Nose race. It was a half marathon and a 5K. And my wife and I both went and attended as well and participated. And we were there with people from Texas, from South Carolina, from all over the country, everywhere. And they all connected through social media. They're internet friends that they met that people are so afraid to be able to reach out to and connect with. What I saw is a bunch of people with a lot of love and a lot of spirit with each other, lifting each other, encouraging each other, hanging out and showing a lot of love for each other. I just saw nothing but huge amount of love and adoration. And it was crazy to me. I said, wow, a lot of that was stemmed from No Finish Line Nation and the connections that we've created in this safe Facebook group. So as I thought about it, I'm thinking about all these different experiences. Or how about the couple events that John, the Mud Hustler, Giordano, and myself threw out in Arizona. This huge event out in Arizona where people came from all over the country, paid tickets to get in, and we got up there and had a whole lot of fun for a couple days out in Arizona to step away from regular humdrum of life with a bunch of other people from No Finish Line Nation. Again, our internet friends, where people were given hugs and love and adoration, and there was so much passion behind the fact that we're all in this game together, all of us. Even my own mother and stepfather showed up. You believe that? Out in Arizona for a little trip. It's pretty crazy to me. And then the first one in Boston, where we had all the admins there, and we were through this huge party in Boston, Massachusetts, at the top of a hotel with a great DJ, and we had a great time. But it was all based on the fact that we all met on the internet. And why is that? Because people love to feel valued. People love to be loved. And we don't get enough of that in today's society. We are more in a place where we beat each other down and degrade each other and put people down at the drop of a hat at any given moment based on the fact that they're not feeling good about themselves or for whatever reasons. That's the way society is wired. I mean, look at the White House right now, right? Jabs and bad things said and name calling and all kinds of stuff. But it's safety. It's almost like a defense mechanism for people to degrade others, to make them feel worse about themselves, only based on the fact that they want to feel better, right? Because they want other people to feel worse than them. So they decide they're going to beat them down. We don't need that. We as people need positivity, encouragement, and uplifting words. We do. And here's the other thing. The other end of it is I get from a lot of people, even back in the day before I had a podcast, before we had No Finish Line Nation, before we were on Connect, before we did Instagram, before we did all this different stuff, I was on Facebook. And I would put out like quotes, quotes that meant something to me, some inspirational quotes. And I remember there was a guy. Now listen, I'm from Massachusetts, and we live by the code of we're a bunch of massholes down there, and we say what we think, and our opinions matter, and this is what it's going to be. And there's sarcasm to it, so I want you to understand that this person's still a good friend, and he was being sarcastic. But I remember we all went out for beers, and this is after a couple quotes that I put out or whatever, and we were just having some beers, and we were having fun, and we were letting loose a little bit. And he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, you know what? All those quotes you put out there, man, can you stop?" I said, "What? What are you talking about?" And he goes, just stop, man. Not everything's all honky-dory, man. Not everything's all rainbows and unicorns, man. Seriously. Like really? Like, nobody needs to read those. We can get quotes anytime we want to. And so it was the first time that I was taken back by somebody saying, stop being a positive influence. And I was blown away. And it took me aback. I was quite stunned, actually. And I was like, wow. Well, of course, then I stood up for myself and said, hey, listen, you know what? If you don't want to read them, then scroll on, pal. Like, seriously. But it was so easy for him to be on the negative side of things instead of going, hey, you know what? Those quotes you put out there every once in a while, they made me think. Or even harder, how about just walk away from the situation and don't say anything at all? Just because I want to put a positive message out in the world, you want to berate it and bash it down? No, not really. That doesn't work for me. That's not how I'm wired. I'm wired in a space where even if I'm feeling down in the dumps and in a negative place, I would much rather uplift other people to get myself to a positive place in the world. That's where I would want to be. And again, that all ties back to the connection and the human element of where we need each other. We need to feel valued. We need to feel connected. So, with all that being said, if you are not on No Finish Line Nation, you should go. If you are not on social media, that's okay. I get it. If you're a lurker, I understand. But if there's somebody that truly inspires you, and you see that, and you see their story, and you see the journey that they've been on, and you're looking at it going, man, I'm pretty amazed by that whole entire situation, tell them. Let them know your story inspires me. Your story means something to me, because you never know what kind of friendship you can gain from that and what kind of momentum you can cause in the whole ripple effect of who you thought was your friends. All of a sudden you met these people on the internet, and now you have friends like the 3 out in California, or the group of 12 or 13 women all getting together in New Hampshire, or the 40 some odd people that are going down to Tennessee in May to go down there for races and just hanging out and connecting and community involvement. Wherever it is, you could be a part of that. You just have to reach out and do it. You have to reach out and find who your tribe is. If you don't know how, or you don't want to be able to use the social media aspect of it, you got me right here on this podcast. So if you want to email me, you know my email, liquidshano1973@gmail.com. If you just want to reach out, you want to share your story, you want to be able to say, hey, listen, I want to let you know that your podcast means something, or whatever, or, tell me your story, tell me what's going on, tell me how you're feeling about things, and you can go from there. Because that's what I'm here for. And that's really what the podcast is all about. It's about positive encouragement and reinforcement for all of you to be successful, and for me to be successful, and for all of us to be successful together. The key word there is together. One other thing I wanted to share with all you guys, because part of that whole community piece of it is, this week we did gain a new patron of the show. Okay, and one of the things that we talk about on the patron page is we like to celebrate in the patrons that are supporting the show. Each month they donate just a little bit of money towards the podcast, towards helping the fees, like I opened with the whole Portland pod piece, to be able to pay for the recording studio and different stuff for the interviews and microphones and everything else. But the name of the latest patron is Michelle Worth. Michelle, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for coming on board with the patron, becoming a patron of the show at a tier 2 level. It's much appreciated. You'll be getting your swag soon from the podcast itself, from Liquidshano, Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. But from the bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate you becoming a patron of the show and supporting it in any way that you can. And if you do want to become a patron of this show, you can go to www.patreon.com/Liquid Coffee Talk. All one word. Okay? And you could sign up right there to become a patron and support the show moving forward. So I hope that this podcast itself helped you. I hope that it gave you the ability to be able to think about your tribe and your circle of friends and the positive influencers that you have in your life or that you need in your life, or the people that love you and adore you, and that you need to let them know that you appreciate the fact that they do that. It's all about connectivity. It's all about connection. It's all about feeling love and feeling the adoration and reaching out to those that you want to be able to connect with and building your tribe so that way at the end you can truly be the person you want to be and you have a network of people lifting you up to bring you there as well. Have a great day, everybody. I'll probably see you on Tuesday. If we are doing a live, I'll send out more messages about it and we'll go from there, okay? Have a great day, everybody, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Please do us a favor and leave feedback and a 5-star rating on whatever platform that you use.